Alright, we got an American Horror Story Coven episode review for Boy Parts. And, man, second episode of the season, there was a lot of stuff happening in this episode for a bunch of different characters. You know, they're all going off on their own arcs, and a lot of stuff kicked into gear in this episode versus the first one. So it was definitely a very busy episode, a lot of stuff to cover. But before we do that, I don't know if anybody is bothered by the ever-changing position that I'm in when I film my videos. If you are, I apologize. I'm trying to work on a spot I can use consistently that doesn't look terrible. And I know people were commenting that the last spot was not too bad, but unfortunately I can't stay there. That spot doesn't normally work. So I'm looking for a more permanent solution. So hopefully this will work. Let me know what you guys think of the quality of the lighting, if it looks alright. And, you know, we'll take it from there. Alright, anyway, like I said, a lot of stuff going on with this episode, but let's start with Zoe. And the first thing I want to talk about with her is that police questioning scene where, I'm glad they brought the police into it, and they just didn't completely ignore the local authority factor on this show, which some TV shows that are like this kind of do. But they brought the police in, and they're like, hey, this bus blew up. You potentially got raped by all the guys that were on the bus, and then your friend goes to the hospital and visits a person that just died, like, right after she left. What's the deal with that? So I'm glad they didn't completely ignore that. But then she, like, cracked, like, immediately. As soon as they started questioning her, she just, like, blew up in this hyper-spazzing, I'm gonna spill all my guts in one series of crazy sentences. It was hilarious to see her just break apart so easily. Of course, then Fiona comes in to save the day. She uses some cup-spitting power for mind control, or not mind control, but to maybe wipe their memories. The mind control, she just kind of focused in on him. It was funny to see her battle it out with that one cop and just can break him mentally to where he was like, oh, he was flipping out, and then he had to take the drink. Alright, so then Zoe follows Madison to the morgue. She decides it'd be a good idea to bring Kyle back the Frankenstein way, because he's in pieces and they gotta throw it all together, stitch him up. And I thought that was cool. I expected Kyle to come back. I certainly didn't expect it to happen in that way, though. I thought from the first episode that you would have that Misty Day would be a part in resurrecting Kyle, just bringing him back all in one piece. But turns out he was completely ripped to shreds in the bus accident. So they had to stitch him back together and use this crazy dark magic witchcraft to bring him back. But then Misty did eventually get involved in between all of her gator hunter killings. Opening scene was pretty cool. And then she's going to heal Kyle up somehow, maybe make the stitches go away, get his body looking more normal. I don't know if he's going to regain any higher brain functions, or if he's just going to be sort of like this grunt for the rest of the season. I'm not sure. We'll have to see what happens. One thing that's interesting to point out is, Zoe and Madison, they were doing that spell, and they were like, you know, it was a dark magic spell. They were calling upon the powers of the devil. And then later on in the episode, Misty was saying, I heard you calling to me, and I was just in a trance, and I came towards, you know, I followed your calling, basically. So I thought that was interesting. I wonder if Misty's a much more darker character than what the show is leading on at this point. Now let's talk about Madame Lalaurie. And we're 2 episodes in, and I'm still not 100% sure if that's the right way to pronounce it or to say it. But that's what I'm going with right now. Oh, and Fiona, yeah, she's played by Jessica Lange. Then Kathy Lang's character, but apparently
Kathy Lang was.
And then you have
Diane Lang's character.
Yes, I totally fucked that up last week. Anyway, back to the Madam. Turns out I thought she was a witch, but she's not a witch. And in fact, it's the woman that poisoned her who was the witch. And I believe her name was Marie or Maria. And Marie, she didn't really poison her. She actually gave her some sort of tonic or potion that made her immortal. And then she tortured the Madam's family and murdered them by hanging, and then buried the Madam alive. So, damn. That's some serious payback. That woman was not screwing around. So now Fiona is trying to get Marie to show her how to stay young forever, going to bargain with her, it seems like. Alright, so let's move on to Cordelia. Something I didn't expect from her character is that she's married, and not only is she married, but the husband knows that she's a witch, and he's completely okay with it, and she's trying to get pregnant on top of all that. Surprising. And then Cordelia goes and she uses her dark magic of her own to make herself pregnant. And I'm pretty sure that that's not going to lead to anything positive. Just a hunch. And then real quick, I wanted to talk about Queenie's backstory, where she dipped her hand in some grease to get back at some butthole who wanted a free piece of chicken. I like that. I thought it was funny. And we got a little insight into Queenie that she's pretty smart. She labels off all the classes that she's taken. So I thought that was interesting, and maybe keep an eye out if they put her smarts to use later on in the season. The character of La Laurie, played by Kathy Bates, I really didn't expect her character to take the turn that she's taken at this point. Right now, she's kind of like stuck with Fiona, pretty much following her orders and doing her bidding, it seems like, is where they're going with that. And considering all of the terrible stuff that she did in that first scene of the first episode, I thought she was going to be a much more dominating evil presence on the show. But right now, she's kind of on the back burner, at least for this episode. So I'm not really sure where they're going with her. That's not a bad thing, you know what's happening with her character. It's just unexpected, which, it's okay. I'm definitely interested to see where they take the character going forward. All right, so my least favorite scene of this episode was, this was the episode I was kind of disappointed. The most disappointing scene, let's call it, for this episode. It was Kyle's resurrection. Not going into the morgue and slapping all the body parts together. The idea was cool, and the whole, just that scene and stitching them together, that was cool. It was the whole magic sequence, the seance sequence, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I was just kind of hoping for more. It was only okay for me. I was hoping for maybe some more effects, like the scene where Cordelia used her magic to get herself pregnant. That was pretty cool. But this scene, there was just some flashing lights and some bad screaming by Zoe. And then, of course, as predicted, nothing happened at first. And then the security guard came in, and then Kyle came back to life. It was completely predictable. So I was just hoping for something a little bit more than that. But I do like the idea of what they did with the character, and I do want to see what happens with Frank and Kyle. Now, my favorite part of the episode for me was definitely the police interrogation scene. Watching Zoe just crack under pressure, like, immediately. And by pressure, I'm talking, like, very little pressure. She just completely fell apart. I thought that was too funny. And then seeing Fiona come in and just own those cops and take control of the situation. I really enjoyed that. Also, another favorite part, even though it was only like 5 seconds long, was Minotaur Man! There is a Minotaur Man on this show. He's going to make an appearance next episode, hopefully to whoop some ass. I'm very excited to see what happens there. And for me, I am going to go ahead and give this episode a B. I liked it. I want to see Minotaur Man in action. I want to see what happens with Frank and Kyle and Kathy Bates, the whole crew. All right, JB Squared, 61279 with an American Horror Story Coven review. And I will see you guys next time.